Currently, the economy of Burkina Faso is based on three pillars. Firstly, there is the mining production. Secondly, there is agricultural production, particularly cash crops such as cottons, sesame, cashew nuts, and also crops veal. And thirdly, they are breeding products. Currently, we are focusing on the fourth pillars, which is the quality of men. That is professional training. The theme of this conference therefore interests us a lot, since it is about agricultural industrialization and modernization. In this respect, China is a reference for us. For in less than a century, China has industrialized and modernized its agriculture. They have managed to be food self-sufficient and has exported its products. So the Chinese example must inspire us. But China has succeeded in this feat because of the extent of its territory, the great number of its population, and unity. And above all, the policy of unity is the will to act. Unfortunately, this is what is currently missing in Africa. Because to drive a particular policy, to hold these decisions, we need political will. And to have a political will, one must be free. He who is not free has no will of its own. Most of our African leaders are not free. And when we are not free, we cannot determine specific destiny for our people. Actually, in Africa, and most especially in French-speaking Africa, we have a lot of head of states who still receives instructions from Paris to London or Washington before taking any decision. We have head of states who prefers to ally themselves with Paris or Washington to fight their own African brothers. In such a context, building an integrated set of development and industrialization is difficult. That which concerns my country, Burkina Faso, we noticed that in West Africa, cooperation between states was difficult, to the extent that other head of states receive instructions elsewhere to execute them against the same other West African countries. This has made us to come to a conclusion, together with Mali, Niger, to leave the sub-regional organization, which is the economic community of West African states. And I can tell you that what is happening is something new in Africa. Because these three countries, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, which have formed an alliance on September 16, 2023, or since July 6, 2024, form a confederation of states. This confederation has an objective of achieving a federation of states next year as soon as possible. And I can tell you that this journey is irreversible. If the constitution of the confederation was made at the instigation and under the leadership of the three heads of states, the population of these countries have taken up this project, and it's now pushing their leaders to go further, So it is no longer a business of leaders, but a business of people of these three countries. And on this level, I can tell you that cooperation with China can have a lot of benefit in the framework of this confederation, which covers an area of more than 2,700,000 kilometers square, which has a population of over 80 million inhabitants. But it must be said that agricultural modernization and industrialization requires prerequisites. And what is this prerequisite? It is energy. Energy production, which is the weak link of our country. For example, at home in Burkina Faso, during heat period, thick of heat, we are forced to proceed to energy regulation by cutting lights in order to be able to give satisfaction to everyone, because energy production is not sufficient. We cannot industrialize a country if we do not first resolve the energy production problem. And so, I think that on this, China's plan is expected and could contribute to the development of energy production in Africa, which is the prerequisites of agricultural industrialization and modernization. Agricultural modernization is happening. Modernization of agriculture also requires other prerequisites. Infrastructure is needed, like roads and railways, for the exchange of these industrial and agricultural products. And on this plan, in Burkina Faso, we have set up a railway production industry to facilitate the railway construction. And also, we are waiting for the contribution and Chinese expertise for the realization of future projects. Beyond the country, we have a project of constructing a railway which would connect Ghana's capital, Accra, to the capital of Burkina Faso, Ouagadougou. So, this is to tell you that there is no shortage of projects. And all this is necessary because if we do industrialize and modernize agriculture without foreseeing the condition of flow, there will be shortcoming and it will have an impact on industrial production and on agricultural production. But it is not sufficient. Also, the health of the people have to be taken care of. Who are the main actors of this industrialization and agricultural production? So, training is necessary, and also the health of the people is necessary. So, on this plan, I thank China again, which is in the process of realizing the largest referral hospital in Burkina Faso, and which will be functional from 2025. So, that is to say, we must not see industrialization and agricultural modernization in an isolated way, but in a set, so that there is no shortcoming in the process. That said, I come back to say that China has an interest in a united and developed Africa. If Africa were united, instead of having to deal with 54 different states, China would deal with only one state. Negotiations will take place much more easier, and resolutions would be made much more quickly. Moreover, if Africa develops, Africa will have more purchasing power, trade more with China, and exchanges will therefore multiply. So we have a shared interest. As much as Africa needs China to develop, China also needs Africa to develop, because with exchanges, its products is not an effect of stimulation. So now, Your Excellency, Head of State and government officials, is to tell you that the outlook depends on us, and depend first of all on the willingness and a political will. So I would like us to examine this carefully, and that we took into account that we must first and foremost free ourselves from all the guardianship and direct us towards ourselves, so that any harmonious and sustainable development can be achieved. Thank you. Africa, wake up. Africa, rise up. Africa without borders. Africa Continental Free Trade Area. The time is now. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.